Hello students, last time we talked about how to address people in close relationships, and today we will learn about how to address people who are not close enough. So let's get started. The way to address people in Korean varied by the hierarchy and intimacy. Hierarchy in Korean language is based on age, which is higher when you are older and lower when you are younger. And intimacy refers to the emotional distance between the speaker and the listener. You can address people by the pronoun or using an honorific, or you can address them with the social status or title, which is the most common way. So let's start with the pronoun, and we can call an adult person who you don't know as someone 분, but you must use it with the demonstrative like 저분, 이분, or 그분. A demonstrative is a grammatic element that shows which person or thing you are talking about, like this, that, or these. And let's break down these examples. So 저분, in 저분, 저 means that, so 저분 means that person. And in 이분, 이 means this, so 이분 means this person. 그분, 그 means 더, so 그분 means the person. And let's move on to the honorifics. So when people first met each other, we can use honorific 님, which is highest honorific in Korean. So you can use it for listeners who are adults and older than you. And if the listener is adult but younger than you, you can use 씨. And for younger listeners, you can use 양 for females and 군 for males. Or you can address people with a social status like the officer, the teacher, the doctor, which is most common way. And most of the status are used with honorific 님. For example, here like 사장님, the manager, and 선생님, the teacher, and 대통령님, like Madam President or Mr. President. But since Korean language is very hierarchical by age, so you can call them without honorific 님 if you are older and know each other. And there are few occupations which have the higher honorific form, like doctor. And doctor is 의사 선생님 in Korean, and 의사 선생님 basically means the doctor, teacher, sir, and that's how we usually call doctor in Korean. But as I said, Korean is very hierarchical by the age, so you can use the shortened version for fellow younger doctor, like 선생님 or 선생. And if there are more than one people with the same title, we can distinguish them by putting last or first name with the title like 김 사장님, or 최 사장님, or 재현 선생님, or 연아 선생님. Calling people by the title have been very common throughout Korean history, so we have a culture that call people as a certain title while they are not actually in that position. So let me give you some. For example, we call random young people as 학생, which means student, while they are not a student. There are two main reasons why we call them like that. The first reason is that Korea have the highest enrollment rate of college and graduate school. So actually, most of the young people are students. And the second reason is that by the Confucianism thought, being a student have been considered as socially esteemed thing for a long time. So that's the second reason. And otherwise, you can call any random older people or person as 사장님 or 선생님. 사장님 means a business owner, and 선생님 means the teacher. The reason why is that the teacher is the most common profession that is admired by Confucianism thoughts, and 사장님 is very common title that reflects the economic wellness, since Korea has one of the highest rate of small business ownership. And moreover, we address people with a title or social status that doesn't even exist anymore, like 영감님 or 양반. So the 영감님 means the minister or the governor from former dynasty. So we can honor elder people with that word. And 양반 is actually a social status like posh people. So it means nobleman from former dynasty, like someone lord, someone lady. But we can use them like a slight friendly insert between close relationships with sarcastic meanings. Of course, 양반 is an informal word, so you should be careful when you're using them. Since I want to show you guys the hierarchy of Korean language much intuitively, I made a pyramid, as you can see. The left one shows the hierarchy between pronoun and honorifics, and the right one shows the hierarchy between the titles and occupations. So as you can see, someone 님 is at the top of the pyramid. So someone 님 is the highest honorific in Korean. And you can see someone 씨, someone 군, someone 양 at the same level. And you can see someone 분 at the bottom. There are differences between the politeness between these pronoun and honorifics. So someone 님 is the highest honorific, and someone 분 is less polite than someone 씨, someone 군, someone 양. But these are all formal words, so you can use them freely in public and there would be no problem. And move on to the next pyramid, which is about title and occupation. At the top, you can see the full name plus title or occupation plus 님. And at the middle, you can see only first or last name plus title or occupation plus 님. And at the bottom, you can see without the name, just occupation and 님, like 선생님 and 사장님. And here are very interesting thing. As you can see, when you're addressing people or person with the title or occupation, the longer, more polite, and shorter, less polite. Like full name, occupation, and 님, or only first or last name plus occupation plus 님, or without the name, just occupation and 님, and occupation and 님. This is very important since this is consistent characteristic throughout this whole language. The longer, more polite, and shorter, less polite. And moving on to the next, there is actually the opposite side of the pyramid, which we use to people or person on the same or younger age in close relationships. And there would be the first or last name plus occupation will be at the top of the lower pyramid, like 김 사장 or 최 사장 or 재현 선생 or 연아 선생. So last name and occupation, last name and occupation, first name, occupation, first name, occupation. So first or last name plus occupation will be at the top of the lower pyramid, and the 양반 we just learned can be ranked at the same level at the top of the lower pyramid. And here I want to tell you that there are quite amount of difference between English formal and informal with Korean honorific system. So we call the honorific form as 높임, which literally means raising, and we call the opposite as 낮춤, which literally means lowering. But I would rather call 낮춤 with different name, which is 반말. So 반말 here. 반 means half and 말 means language. So it means that it's not fully completed language, but half language, since the default of Korean language is 높임, and we only can use 반말 in very specific and close relationships. And the biggest misunderstanding about 반말 is that 반말 always rude and 높임말 is always polite. But we can still insert people in 높임말, and it is very possible to be polite and sarcastic in 반말. And this 반말 and 높임말 can be portrayed by the pyramid and reverse pyramid put together like this. And 높임말 pyramid is at the right above the 반말 pyramid. And from now on, I will color code the 높임 with the green color like this pyramid, so you can tell whether the expression is 높임말 or 반말. And 반말 and 높임말 is two separated different things. So it's not a spectrum. So there is no neutral gradient between them. So it's a completely different, two different things. The reason why I only color code the 높임 is that the majority of my examples will be in 반말. Also, we have to use 높임말 in most of the real life situations because every Korean learns 반말 first since it's much more efficient way to learn the language. Let's take a recap for addressing system we learned today. Let's start with the honorifics and pronoun. At the top, we have someone 님, and at the middle, we have someone she, someone 분, someone yang, and at the bottom, we have someone 분, and move on to the next pyramid, which is about title and occupations. At the top, we have full name plus occupation plus 님, and at the middle, we have half of the name plus occupation plus 님, and at the bottom, we have without the name, just occupation and 님, like 선생님 or 사장님. At the lower pyramid, we have half of the name and occupation, and below we have 너 or 너희, which we learned at the first lesson. And that's it for today, and see you guys in the next video.